What's up? Today I'm gonna do my top 10 list for 2020 movies, and on Friday I'll release my list for the top 20 TV shows. So let's do it. Um, my first pick is Gretel and Hansel. I know it was a lot of controversy over this movie because Gretel was before Hansel, but like who was checking for Hansel? Like was Hansel like a popular character or something? They have like a lot of lore to him or whatever. I don't think so. Um, this movie, the story is alright, but you really come to this movie for the visuals. The visuals in this movie are beautiful. Like some of the most beautiful shots. Like it's this shot of this like blob on the floor, like this black thing, and it turns into a person, and it just looks so seamless and beautiful. So if you really like cinematography and like really good shots in movies and lighting and just the way certain filmmakers make things just pop, I would check out Gretel Hansel. Moving on to the next movie. Yes, God, yes. So this movie technically came out in 2017, but I don't believe it was fully released until 2019, and then it became a 2020 movie. It's really confusing, but I put this on my 2020 list. It's a really good movie about a young girl like um, dealing with her sexuality as a like Catholic uh, person at this camp, and try to deal with all those urges and the ridicule and I'm trying to say the non the hypocrism the hypocrism the hypocrites at the church and the way they deal with that essentially. So I thought it was a pretty decent movie. I'll give it like a 7. We're not adding none of that out. We just gonna keep on moving. Palm Springs. Palm Springs is a really good movie. It's like I don't want to say what the concept is. It's basically they're going to a wedding and they can't get out. They can't get out of the location that they're in for some reason, and it's just a good like relationship movie. You can probably watch it with your partner if you want to. Maybe if you're not if you're fighting or something, that might not be a good idea. But it's a pretty solid movie. I give it like a 7 out of 10. So I'll take that. It's like mystery, time travel, sci-fi stuff like that. So check it out. Next one is Sputnik. This is a really good creature film. I think one of the best ones we've seen in years. I think this movie is really good, but it's just very predictable. It's in Russian, and it's both of the actors, the main actress and the astronaut, are very good. Like their performances are actually pretty phenomenal. The story is just like very body numbers. It's exactly what you would think, but it's still a really good creature movie. So I would give it a chance. Next is I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This movie is really good. It's really dialogue heavy, really cerebral. It's confusing at certain points. Like I would almost suggest reading the book first and then watch the movie because it can be confusing, and reading the book would give you more context on what's happening. Yeah, like it's a really sad watch though, so maybe it's not for everyone, but I still think it's a pretty good movie. Um, Next is Tenet. All the set pieces in this movie are fantastic. It's just certain story choices and just weirdness that you already heard, like with like sound mixing, things of that nature, just not just make this movie like okay. Like the main villain is not good. Um, the girl storyline is not that great. I think John David Washington is really good in this movie though, and so is Robert Pattinson. I'm really enjoying him. especially since last year with like the Lighthouse and the King and stuff. Robert Pattinson is just he's fantastic, and I can't wait to see him in Batman. But I still think it's worth watching because Christopher Nolan always directs action in a way that other people just can't. Like you just can't do a Christopher Nolan action scene. So I would still say watch it. Maybe when it comes back to theaters, you can watch it in IMAX. So check that one out. Next is The Invisible Man. This movie was a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. It's still very um weird in a way, like it's an invisible man, so like you have to like bring down your belief a little bit, like like how did that happen? He wouldn't be able to do that, but I still think it's one of the best Invisible Man movies that we have had. I think it's really well done, especially for the budget they had and how they made the effects work. Yeah, it's really good. And Elizabeth Moss she's great. She's great in everything, but she's really good. And and you have to be like fantastic to sell there being that invisible man there, and for the audience not to think it's goofy. But even though some people still might think it's goofy, but I think she did a really good job. Um, I would give this one uh, a shot still if you like that type of thing. If you like horror movies, so yeah. Next one is I didn't think I was gonna like this movie as much as I did. Is Uncle Frank. Um, this movie about a gay man and his father dies, and something happens in his childhood that's very like traumatic between him and his father. He has to go back to this to the he has to go back to meet his family, um, to see his father because his father's having a funeral. He's just dealing with the trauma of all that, of um, what happened with him and his father. And it's played by Paul Bettany, which is really weird. Because he's a British actor, but he pulls it off. Because at first it's really weird. Like he has this southern accent. It's like his accent does break through sometimes, but he does a pretty good job of keeping it up the entire time, and it has a lot of good emotional, um, resonant scenes in the film. Like it's really good, and in that sense, it's not perfect. I think it could have been story could have been a little bit tighter. It could have been shot a little bit more um, interesting or a little bit better. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good movie. I think you should give it a watch. All right, now to the top three. top. Uncle Frank was part of the top three, but we're not adding that out. We just gonna keep moving on. Black Bear. Okay, so Black Bear and The Gentleman are basically interchangeable. Black Bear is a really good movie, starring Aubrey Plaza. Ar- Aubrey Plaza. We're not editing this out. You know who she is. She's a really good actor, and she's also like very beautiful in this movie. I don't really want to say too much because it is a very interesting film. So this is basically about a filmmaker that wants to go out and get some inspiration. So she stays with this couple in like this cabin out in the woods, and she's trying to get inspiration. Um, and that's basically all I want to say. So I don't really spoil anything, but it's a really good movie, and it has a lot of good. Um, there's a lot of dope acting and people talking about like interesting topics and how that relates to the world today. So it's a weird, more cerebral film. Not necessarily as cerebral as I'm thinking of anything, but I think it's pretty interesting. So I would give it a watch for sure. The Gentleman is a Guy Ritchie film. like a crime thriller s film starring Matthew McConaughey, uh, Colin Farrell, Charlie Hunnam, Hugh Grant, a cast of full of other people as well. But those are like the main cast, and they're all like really really good. Like this movie is like it's like main school, like old school Guy Ritchie, Snatch, Lock, Stock and Barrel, all those old films. What you really like from Guy Ritchie is like it's a return to form for those, and it's this a really like excellent film. It was funny, it was dramatic, it was action packed. It was just a lot of like fun, cool moments. Like it's a dancing like hip hop fighting group. Like it is the weirdest, coolest thing in the movie that I was seeing this year. So yeah, this is my favorite movie. It was just really fun and just really good. I had a really good time with it. So those are my top 10 films of 2020, and I will be doing my top 10 TV shows of 2020 on Friday. Um, so I'll see y'all then.